We knew we were starting to affect them with the court case because things started happening. Um, Weird things started happening. This is an email that I dug up from my records, and it's from Joseph Sinclair. Arlen St. Clair was the other half of the Menlo Park 2. He had a son. His name was Joseph, and Joseph worked with us quite a bit. Joseph was kind of like the rumor control department. He would spend time in various chat room discussions, setting the record straight, because the Watchtower, they fired up their propaganda machine and they were disseminating lies, and we were trying to keep it honest and be transparent. Anyway, that's who he was. He was a researcher. He helped me find case law, things of that nature. He was Arlen's son, and he didn't want to be directly involved, but he helped out where he could. I printed off an email years ago. I kept this email, and here it is. I don't know if you can see it very well, but I'm going to send this to you, and you can show this to whoever you like. I'm going to read the email. It's not very long, but remember in the last video I did, I said that's why they call it the Watchtower, because they're watching you. On Sunday, 2 JWs walked into the coffee shop where my dad was. They told him he has been charged with apostasy and asked him to attend his tribunal on Tuesday. Arlen St. Clair then asked them how they knew he was at this coffee shop, and they replied, the two Jehovah's Witnesses, "We know your routine." I have been labeled an apostate because I read the internet. This is Joseph's. This is Arlen's son saying this. He said, "I've been labeled an apostate because I read the internet. I'm considering a cease and desist order, as they have now committed slander and defamation against me. The label apostate is now synonymous with mentally diseased." And I've got to say, for the record, Joseph is kind of like me. His father was an elder. He grew up in the truth, but he never got baptized and never came into the truth. Same as me. So them trying to label him an apostate, they were trying to use little code words to instill fear. Enemy of Jehovah, apostate, things of that nature. They were trying to instill fear. Pay very close attention to what I'm about to read now. I have a legal service through my work, and if I file a cease and desist order, I will retain a lawyer. I believe I have been followed home from work last Saturday. So very early on, when he was helping me with research and everything, we encountered the unpleasant, sinister side of the Watchtower very early on. Now, he sent this email. I'm not going to say the person's name that he was sending this email to, but approximately two to 3 weeks later, he was run off the road. Me and Arlen was working on some documents, and he got a phone call from an emergency, and they said his son had been involved in an accident. They did not say what the nature of the accident is, but they told us that we better get down to the hospital quick. We got to the hospital about 30 minutes later, and I wasn't supposed to have a camera inside emergency, but I felt it was important. and I wanted to get certain information from Joseph that was while it was still fresh in his mind. And so what you're about to see is he's in the emergency room. It's very graphic. It's very bloody, but I think you need to see it so that you can really understand the gravity and the impact of what we were dealing with. Now, I'm not saying the watchtower ran him off the road. I am saying that the watchtower uses third parties. So they use another party, and sometimes that party is not a witness, so that they can, have plausible deniability, so that they can say, "Oh, we didn't do anything. You just had bad luck." But you know it's sinister because you feel it. I'm for content and graphics, the sake of the nature. I'm gonna edit it a little bit, but I'm trying to because I'm trying to be as transparent as possible. So I'm trying to keep the content as true to the situation as possible. But it's pretty bloody, and you'll see for yourself. And so here's the clip.
Smile for me.
Right?
Smiling. Stick your tongue out. Shrug the shoulders.
Alright, so this starts
Raise your eyebrows
all
up. And then clench them together. Don't let me pull them up. Clench them together. Don't let me pull them up. Close your eyes.
Well, there are a couple of options. One is, she ever gonna come in?
Rest your arms down there. I'm trying to get there.
Cool blood spill.
Here's the state.
Yep, that company, and then,
Okay, now, I want you to raise your arms up again, your palms up.
refer you to a company called Health Advocates that works with it.
Here's my W-2. I'm not sure which one goes with which. Could you figure it out, please?
Cover some of the costs. Sometimes you can get an infection, or sometimes your electrolytes can get out of whack.
Man, that's bad.
Which can exacerbate underlying neurological problems. So that's also a possibility.
It may, but
Make sure it's not something
you
you throw
on a
into
broken knee, you don't notice.
Sound good?
You mean like more fluid?
Right. Exactly.
Fluid watch.
That's right.
How about I just take this home and give it to you later?
That's right. Hopefully not too big, right?
Wow, look
There
at
we
that.
go.
That's swelling. That's
How are you
incredible.
doing? Oh, fantastic. And how's your headache right now?
Okay, lay back.
Anytime.
Lay back.
You're accepting.
Yeah, your heart rate is way going crazy. I mean, look at that. He just fluctuated like big time.
Yeah, because you're upsetting,
Yeah.
Well,
You're settling
fantastic.
down. What's the
I was
low?
going to ask which,
What's the lower
what
one?
was sort of special.
That one, he's staying steady at 70, 77, but his heart
So now
rate is
are you-
fluctuating
so did you train?
incredibly.
What did you train?
Oh, I just sat up.
Yeah, but
Were your family
that's pretty fast fluctuation to go from,
Or did you just completely
80 to 5 to 90 to 225 in a few seconds. Yeah, I think you're right about that toenail.
Yeah, it's gonna come off.
What was your residency you completed? Because you're kind of a little early. I don't think that there was an emergency medicine residency at that time. Oh, wow.
Standard drip.
Yeah.
I know.
Bob, do you remember
Yeah, that blood down there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's from here.
I don't blame you. I don't blame
Oh,
you.
so the
They're
ambulance
fun
guy,
and all.
he kind of. Now, what you don't see on camera is this. I had asked Joseph if he it's still fresh in his mind, and I told him to take a minute and think about it, and to tell me if he thought it was an accident or if it was intentional. And there was he stared at the ceiling for almost a full minute, and it was quiet. All you could hear is the frenzy of what was going on in the ER with other patients and stuff like that. And finally, he rolled his head, he turned his head over, and he looked at me, and he said, "It was intentional." He said, "I ride this route every, I know the road. I ride this route every morning to go to work." And that's when I started thinking about the email, and the last line of the email said, "I think I'm being followed." And then all of a sudden he's in emergency. Now, I'm not going to go into the nature of his wound, because I didn't ask his permission if I could tell his story, but I figured it's my film, I'll just blur out his face or something. But at that, I mean, I just thought it should be known. It should be known. It should be seen. And there again, you have to keep in mind, just 2 weeks prior, he was saying somebody was following him, and then you had 2 Watchtower people telling Arlen, we know your routine. So it was very sinister. And something else I want to let you know, it might have something to do with it or not, but he had the accident in Santa Clara County. Santa Clara County is where they issued that fraudulent check to Dave Richards, who then sent the money wire transfer to the Watchtower in Pennsylvania. Could just be a coincidence. But, you have to wonder. But we were taking all kinds of heat. We didn't let anybody know. For the untrained eye, it looked like it was business as usual. But the Watchtower had pretty much declared open season on us, and that was not that was the first of many things that happened. And like I said, so many strange things happened. Next thing you know, Child Protective Services was kicking the door in and saying this child's endangerment or something. And prior to that, and that was Arlen's granddaughter Evelyn, they took the child away. And that's one thing I've come to realize about the Watchtower. If you tangle with the Watchtower in any way, the first thing they do is try to destroy your family. They take your children away from you, and then it's designed to break you and to emotionally get you invested, and put you under a lot of psychological duress. And I thought, and this is supposed to be a loving agent, organization. I had developed my distrust and dislike of the Watchtower very early on, because I could see through the games and what they were doing. And they were behind a lot of, like I said, they were behind a lot of stuff. They worked through third parties so that they can say that they could have plausible deniability, and they can say, "Oh, we didn't do anything to you. You have bad luck. That had nothing to do with us." But all the while, they're in the background pulling the strings and making it happen. And that's what we experienced, and that's what I learned. There's a very, very sinister side to the Watchtower. So another document that I pulled out of the records is, we went to the Ninth Circuit Court because that's where we filed the judicial misconduct complaints. We filed a complaint against Judge Jeffrey White, and naturally they were trying to help him cover. They were trying to cover it up. This letter, as you can see, it's stamped. So it's stamped San Francisco Court. This is a complaint about Judge White. But I sent this to you because you need to see this. And I think once you read it, you'll know why they buried the document and why you can't find it anywhere. And that's why I'm going to send you my copy. This is because I even got the intake clerk's name. See it right there, Michelle. They when I called a week later, they denied we didn't get anything. They said we didn't get this. And the Ninth Circuit Court also buried our appeal. So if you try to contact the Ninth Circuit Court and say what was the disposition of this case, there's no records. They've scrubbed everything because it's almost like this never happened. But when I called, they said, "Oh, we didn't get any records." I said, "Yes, you did," because I even got the girl's name, who was the intake, person in the office, or who the documentation person who handles stuff in the office, had her name. I had a stamp, so it was proven that I was there, that this document has been taken in, but yet, Ninth Circuit Court swears on a stack of Bibles we never got it. But once you read this document, then I think you can understand why, because it's where I start to explain the pedophilia. This document is all about pedophilia. That's because I accused Judge White, allegedly, of being a pedophile. Because I couldn't see any other reason why he's not one of Jehovah's Witnesses, but yet he was so adamant to get every case we filed in his courtroom, and he would dismiss it. He was covering for the Watchtower, clearly. But I'm gonna let you read this document yourself, and you can give it to anybody you like, because like I said, this is all gonna come out anyway. So I just want, in an effort to be transparent, to give you what I got and let you come to your own conclusions. But there again, I always have a stamp. I always get a person's name, and I can prove everything that I say. And that's the problem. The Watchtower knows I can prove it. And it's kind of a little dilemma for them. This is also a photocopy. You're gonna get it. You're gonna see it anyway. This is the email that I sent to Mr. Smith, Anthony Smith, who is the attorney of record for the Watchtower. He was defending the Watchtower, and these people are so frustrating because they flaunted the court orders. They didn't follow the court orders, and it got nauseating. They thought they were so above the law. We don't answer to courts, and we don't answer to you, and But I'm not going to read this letter, but you'll be able to see it for yourself. But this is the letter proving that the Watchtower knew all along that Mr. Kohler wasn't in the service. He had been lying his whole career as a circuit overseer, and their reluctance to cooperate, because the SEAL Command headquarters in Coronado, they wanted to have a little chat with Paul Kohler, and I had been in a conference with Anthony Smith, the attorney, and I said, the Navy would like to talk to Mr. Kohler. You care to supply his phone number or his whereabouts? And he was not going to do that. They were, and it was so interesting. I mean, here you are. You got a situation where an outside party, who's not even one of Jehovah's Witnesses, proves that this circuit overseer, who's been a circuit overseer for 30, 40, 50 years, I don't know how long he was a circuit overseer, really, at least 40 years, but he had been lying his whole career. And it slightly indicated that the Watchtower headquarters knew he was lying all along. But he got a lot of financial gain from his lying, a lot of favors that were given to him, and a lot of other things. But I will also include this letter, and you'll be able to read for yourself. Like I said, this is not my word against her word, or he said, she said stuff. This is documented actual stuff, and all I wanted is somebody who's not afraid of pursuing this, because everywhere I went, everyone's, ooh, the Watchtower, ooh, you don't want to mess with them, and it just it offended me, because they're not tough guys, but they act like they're tough, and then they bully the rank and file, and they cower down, and I'm thinking, these guys are just punks. It doesn't matter the cut of their suit or how finely trimmed their beards are. They're punks. And it became very clear to me, because I have all this that I'm going to make public. But yeah, this is an interesting document. So I'll let you see this. I'm showing you the documents so that you'll know that they exist, so that when I put them out there, or if you go and try to find them and they're not there, then there's a little funny business, because most of the documents are not there. They figured after 15 years nobody would be interested in this case, so we can quietly remove the documents, and that's what they've done. This, okay, it's federal seal, it's all official, signed and everything. This is the official judicial wrongdoing that we filed against Judge White. So I'm gonna make available to everyone and anyone, and I'm digging documents out, all kinds of stuff. I'm finding all kinds of stuff, but this is what we were dealing with. The Watchtower was trying to prevent us from getting an actual attorney. We had an attorney who was volunteering a little his time helping us, and when the Watchtower found out that we had an attorney, they paid that attorney a visit. I don't know what was said, but when they left the office, the attorney called us later and said, I don't want to help you guys anymore. And we just kept running into that type of thing all through this, and it was really frustrating. And I know sometimes I come across real edgy, real angry, full of rage, and I am. This has been my life for 15 years. And I'm not going to let my father, my brother, and a good man, live with some shit over their head for the rest of their lives. Especially because Arlen has since passed, and I sent that. I sent that to you, and it's just it's a matter of principle. It's principle. It's principality. There's just certain things you just don't do, and there's certain things you do to try to make it right, and that's all I'm trying to do.